Thanks to David Rock, I recently had the opportunity to attend and actually facilitate one of the sessions at the Neuro Leadership Conference held here in New York City. It was a great event. I met some fantastic people there. The session that I facilitated focused on our understanding of the neuroscience of reward, really understanding how we can better motivate individuals. We touched on a number of fantastic topics, everything from the fact of how the carrot and stick approach really doesn't work, the fact that fun and enjoyment is so important to reinforce learning, and that our own self-discipline of how we actually ourselves think and recall positive inspirational moments can reinforce learning. One topic that we really only had the chance to touch on, but I think is very important for all of us, is to ask ourselves the question, how do we motivate and reward people for lifelong learning? I believe that the case for lifelong learning is clearly self-evident. We see it in the rapid amount of change that's around us every day. We realize that any knowledge we have has an incredibly limited shelf life, and that because of this, we constantly need to be reinventing ourselves, developing new skills, having new knowledge and capabilities. And if we don't do this, there's a real risk that we will no longer be employable. Although it's easy to see this need for growth through an individual lens, it's also critically important for our organizations. The days are now gone that organizations can just see their evolving needs change and therefore fire the people that don't have the skills and just go out and hire the people that have them. One, that's incredibly cost prohibitive. And two, the skills you need may not even exist. You have to grow them within your own organizations. So if this need is so clear, both for individuals and for organizations, why then, in many cases, are we not growing? What is getting in the way? I believe that as individuals and as organizations, we're not allocating enough time for growth. As individuals, we're burnt out. We have no work-life balance. We're constantly struggling through the day and trying to get everything done. As organizations, we're on increasingly huge amounts of pressure, more competitive challenges. So the first thing that gets eliminated is time for growth, time for development. If we have or make the time for growth, do we know what to focus on? Do we know individually what we need to do to develop our skills, what developmental direction we need to move in? As organizations, do we know what those future needs are and what capabilities are most critical for our business success? I think in many cases we don't. Therefore, we're lost. We're bewildered to know if we do focus on our development, what should we really learn? Given all this confusion, it can generate a great sense of fear. The fact that we know as individuals and as organizations that we're in a race that we might lose. Given this, that fear has huge impacts on us. One is a situation called opportunity blindness. The fact that we don't even see opportunities around us for growth, for development. And because we don't see them, we don't take advantage of them. We don't learn. If we're not careful, this confusion, anxiety, fear can truly generate learning paralysis. Even if we do have the best of intentions, and we buy the books, subscribe to those periodicals, do we ever really make the time to read them? If we find ourselves some idle time, what do we choose to do? Do we read the news, read that blog, or play Candy Crush? Do we actually miss the opportunities to learn and grow? Are we lazy? Although it's only barely scratching the surface, I would like to take a few moments now and to highlight 5 things that I believe we can all do to help continue and grow our own personal development and the growth of our organizations. First, we need to realize that we're a problem, that we need as individuals and as organizations to be far more disciplined and structured on our growth and development. We need to talk about this like we talk about any business challenge or opportunity, and make sure that we have a clear strategy and the proper allocation of resources to address this, both as individuals and collectively as an organization. Next, we need to allocate far more time for our own growth and development. As individuals, we need to place it in our diaries and our calendars and schedule time, commit to those courses, to reading those books. As organizations, we need to look at our culture, look at what's getting in the way, and figure out how do we allocate more time for growth and development. How do we hold our managers more accountable to ensuring that that growth and development is taking place for themselves and for the people that they lead? Third, for this to be effective, we need far better development coaching. As individuals, we need to receive better guidance on what skills we have and what we need in the future to give us the confidence that we know what to focus on. As organizations, we need to be far more diligent at understanding, given our business strategy, given our opportunities and challenges, what development is most critical for the organization, and to make sure we're prioritizing of those most critical needs. Fourth, we need to make sure that we have a plan, both as individuals and as organizations. This just can't be a random walk. We need to clearly have a structured way of making sure that the development that's required is being done, and a careful measuring process to ensure that it is taking place. And that's just not that the activity is occurring, but to make sure that the knowledge, the skills, the learning that we most need is truly occurring, that it's sticking, that it's taking place. And finally, we need to publicly recognize and reward individuals and parts of the organization for achieving their goals of development. We need to make sure that our leaders that are doing that for themselves and for their people and their organizations are hugely, highly celebrated in a very, very visible way. It needs to be an expectation of everyone, and people need to be rewarded for doing so. I know that these are very high level and general thoughts, but that's okay, because as Nancy Klein once said, the head that has the problem also has the best solution. Quite frankly, it's not what I think, it's what you think. Ask yourself these questions. Think about what you need to do to spearhead and drive your own personal development. And what do you need to do more broadly in your organizations to accelerate the growth and development of your people? If I could just make one request, it would be that you treat this as a real critical issue. As noted in the recent book called Learn or Die, if you're not focused on your own development, if you're not focused on your growth, you truly are at risk. That risk, though, exists for all of us collectively as well, and it's good for all of us to grow and to develop as best we can. Please, please, help it to occur. Thank you for taking the time to watch this brief video. Please now share your thoughts so that we all can continue to learn from each other.